Hello everyone. It's been a while since I've seen y'all. With that, I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of an update that's going on with the 2021 Subaru Ascent Premium. With that, this is my partner's vehicle. As you can see, it's up there in miles. It has 48,000 miles on it. We just did some maintenance on it to, keep this thing ticking. Well, actually, hopefully it's not ticking. That would be a bad sign. But we just did fuel injector service on it, and additionally also new air filters, etc. Just because the gas mileage on this thing is not the best. But in this respect, let's talk about how this vehicle's been for the past 2 years. So we bought this because I did a cartwheel with my partner's 2017 Outback. I actually missed that vehicle dearly. And with that, between going back and forth from North Carolina to back to Las Vegas, we needed a bigger vehicle. So in that respect, we got this one, and in this case, it's been actually not bad over the past 2 years, but I'm really glad it does have a warranty for a variety of reasons. We've had to use it a couple times. So for one, the big major issue we started having back in 2021, actually when we moved back to Vegas, is the right front suspension would not stop banging over certain bumps. And I mean, it was to the point where people in the vehicle noticed, and it almost felt like you blew a tire. And it just started happening randomly one day when actually we were leaving the movie theater. We noticed it at first, and I thought maybe he hit something because, things fly into the road. It happened to me too. So I said, hey, what was that? And it just kept happening, but it would only happen at warmer temperatures. So when we would take it to Subaru, we were like, hey, there's something going on with this vehicle. You need to check it. They were like, everything's fine. We can't replicate the issue. It's the usual response that you get from the dealership. And so I was like, no, there's something else going on here. So basically, we ended up replacing the tires because they were due anyway. Actually, it was kind of funny. My car was started with Michelin tires and went to Falcon. And then this car started with Falcon tires and went to Michelin Performance tires. So kind of did a switch here. But with that, we thought maybe that was the noise that was happening. And so literally once it kept going, there was another issue because once the tires started going bad, we thought maybe it was that. But what ended up happening was when we were turning left, it would make sort of like a sound. And so I was like, okay, it's got to be an axle. It's got to be a CV joint, something. And I was like, the suspension in the front is also really bumpy on the right-hand side only. So I took it back to Subaru again. This time, I finally was just like, dude, you guys got to find something. I'm getting tired of dealing with this crap. And so they ended up finding that the whole strut assembly needed to be replaced. So the car has a pretty much almost brand spanking new suspension up on the front right hand side, and it does make it feel a little bit uneven just because the left side has more wear on it, but it's definitely a lot better and no more banging. So hopefully in the summer, because it used to only happen in the hot months, we won't have that issue again. So with that, other things that have happened with the vehicle, just normal wear and tear. I mean, the interior's held up pretty nicely because the materials are very soft touch, so I do like that. The engine and transmission have held up really nicely. With Subarus, the CVTs, they can go bad, but these higher torque ones, they have gotten better after the software updates that were applied to the 2019 Ascents. So in this case, can't complain too much there. The vehicle still has plenty of power, and I do like the torque in this thing. It actually is really nice. All-wheel drive is pretty good too, but it's not too bad when it comes to those CVT shifts. One thing I will say is I kind of am excited for a hybrid version of this because this really will help with the gas mileage. It's not poor, but if you are going into those higher revs, it definitely does sucks a lot of gas. I'm actually really excited for some of the electrification strategies, not all of them, but with that, I do feel that this could benefit from an electric motor. Get rid of that torque converter and just basically drop an 8-speed in this thing, I wish. However, that's not going to happen because Japanese vehicles tend to prefer CVTs and electronic CVTs, etc. So with that, I know that's not going to happen. But in this respect, once this car does age and the wheels fall off, I would expect that Subaru would at least have a hybrid version of this or something similar. So maybe something in the future, but with that, it is it's been a decent vehicle overall. It's not my favorite to drive. I do actually miss the Outback, but this one has not been poor over the past 2 years. And honestly, it's come in handy because the Expedition, even though it's still alive, It's not the most comfortable to ride in anymore. Just it's worn, it's done its days, and with that, it still has, you know, life in it. The engine was rebuilt, the transmission still shifts fine. It's just more or less, this vehicle has kind of become the family vehicle because the Expedition's not used that much. So in this case, that's kind of why this was actually purchased, other than the fact that I rolled the other Subaru over. Didn't stick the landing, so, you know, that happened. But yeah, it hasn't been too bad. I, you know, enjoy driving it to an extent. I really would rather ride as a passenger in it, to be honest with you. It's just comfortable that way for me. But everything in this vehicle is very well placed. The acceleration's not very linear, however, so that's one thing to keep in mind, is the Subarus definitely tend to want to jump forward. So, you know, it hasn't been as bad for us because we've just learned to deal with it, but there are times where you'll feel like you're kind of just slingshotting yourself off this out of the stoplight here. But yeah, for the premium edition, it has a lot of good features. I love the adaptive cruise control, and I'm really excited for, you know, a little bit more of self-driving capabilities for individuals that need it. Of course, I'm very much one that likes to drive, so I won't necessarily use them all the time. But if you're on those long stretches of road, of course, before everything goes electric and you have no range, then, you know, it really does come in handy. Plus, I mean, the safety features, it really does a good job with your insurance as well. So with that, not too many updates, however. My mom had a nail in her tire. I had a nail in my tire a couple months ago. So, I mean, that's just basically it. There is a car that will be returning to the channel, however, in a couple months. So that's something to be kind of excited about, I guess. My sister is moving back. My Honda Accord, I cannot find it anymore, so I guess it must have been sold. I actually did contact the new owner of that Accord, and I didn't get a response. So I guess that car is done. But yeah, basically, this is kind of a 2-year update. It hasn't been that bad, but I will say the suspension was kind of disappointing. The infotainment system hasn't really given us many issues ever since they updated it. The only thing we've had problems with, however, is just the Bluetooth. It just keeps getting very glitchy, but I was told to turn the Wi-Fi off, so I guess I'll try that at one point. But anyways, guys, it was a pleasure. I hope you guys all have a wonderful year. Please be safe, and talk to you soon.